channel. I am Mary of Mary Stories, and I love designing knitting and crochet patterns. In this video you are going to learn how to knit this beautiful, very simple scarf. I use double moss stitch pattern, and to do this I have worked with a llama husky yarn, a 100% acrylic yarn, and an 8 millimeter pair of needles. So to begin, let's make our first knot, and let's cast on a multiple of 4 stitches plus 4 salvage stitches. For this scarf, which is around 30% wide, I have casted on 32 stitches with my needles. We use 2 salvage stitches for the beginning and for the end of our pattern in order to create a beautiful I-cord finishing in both sides of our scarf. So after casting on our stitches, you can cast on more or less. Just remember to keep the rule, and we turn to start working our first row. Our yarn stands to the back of our work, and we are going to always do this in the beginning of every row. We are going to knit the first stitch through not this regular way, but through the back loop. So insert your needle to the back of this first loop, yarn over as you would normally do when knitting a stitch, and let it slip from your needle. And again we're going to do the same thing in the second stitch. We're going to knit it through the back loop, yarn over and pull it off the needle. After these 2 edge stitches, we're going to knit our pattern, which is a repeat of knit 2, purl 2 to the end of the row, 2 stitches till 2 stitches before the end. So just take a little care of this first row, knit 2, then bring the yarn to the front and purl next 2 stitches. Then repeat, put your yarn to the back and knit normally next 2 stitches. Knit 1 and knit the second one. Then we're going to purl. So to purl, we are bringing the yarn in front and we are purling next 2 stitches. Take it slow in this first row. You are going to see that afterwards the pattern is very easy, and I'm going to show you how to recognize what you should do in every row, and this way you don't need to count your rows for this pattern. You can see how a knit stitch looks like and how a purl stitch looks like. Again, we are continuing this first row, knitting the next stitch and knitting next stitch, then yarn in front, purl next to stitch and purl next stitch. So let's go to the end of the row, to the last 2 stitches. Since we have a multiple of 4, we are going to end our row for the main pattern as we have started. Knit 2 and then purl 2, and this is the end of the main pattern. Now we are going to use these 2 salvage stitches to make our I-cord pattern. The yarn stands in front and we're going to slip through the back loop this stitch, then slip purlwise last stitch, and we can see clearly that the yarn stands away from the edge of our needles. It stands 2 stitches inside. Turn to work row 2. For row 2, we're going to do the same thing. Knit the first 2 stitches through the back loop. So insert your needle to the back of the loop, take the working yarn and yarn over, and 1 stitch worked through the back loop. Do the same for the second stitch. Knit through the back loop. So we are done with our edge stitches. And we are continuing this second row, repeating the same thing as in first row. Knit 2, purl 2, and for this row we are knitting the knits and purling the purls. So we are creating 2 knits and 2 purls in the row, as you are going to see in a while when I'm finished with this row. But if you are confused in this second row, if you see a knit stitch, knit it normally through the front loop, and when it's a purl stitch, you should purl normally. So repeat this to last 2 stitches. Let's make it a little bit quick. Knit 2, purl 2, ending with purl 2 for the main pattern. You are going to be ending purling 2 stitches before the last 2 stitches of the row. I'm doing this right now, and for the end we're going to always do the same thing. Keep the yarn in the front and slip knitwise through the back loop the first stitch of the needle and slip last stitch purlwise of the needle. You are not going to work these 2 last stitches, just slip them off the needles in the way I just showed you. For row 3, now as you can see, we can see 2 knit stitches in 2 rows and 2 purl stitches. Now it's the time to do the opposite thing, to follow this double moss stitch. For the first 2 stitches, always the same thing, knit through the back loop while our yarn stands 2 stitches inside. This creates this beautiful I-cord. So knit through the back loop one stitch, knit through the back loop second stitch. We are done with our edge, and now as you can see we have 2 knit stitches in the row, so it's time to do the opposite thing. Purl 2, knit 2 is the repeat pattern for this row. We can see 2 purl stitches. We're going to knit now, knit these 2 stitches. Remember, we are doing the opposite thing. Purl 2, knit 2 till the end of the row for this row, third row. It's a very simple pattern. When you see the 2 stitches, you are going to completely understand what you should do. Now we have our last 2 knit stitches for the main pattern, and in this case always bring the yarn in front. If it stands already in front, keep it this way. If it stands to the back, take it in front and then slip 2 last stitches the way I show you, always the same way, and turn in order to work row 4. Basically this double moss stitch pattern, which is a very nice simple reversible pattern, it's a 4 row repeat. Now we are going to work again row 4. So knit through the back loop the first 2 stitches, and now stop and think a little bit. As you can see, we have 2 purl stitches in front of us, but it's only 1 purl at the row. We have to make it 2, so we're going to keep purling the first 2 stitches and then knitting next 2 stitches, so we create 2 knit stitches at the row. Can you see this? This is 2 knit stitches and these are 2 purl stitches. We have to create 1 more, so we have 2 and make this double moss. So knit 2, then purl 2. From now on you are not going to be thinking anything, just look at your garment and find out by yourself what you should do. We are at the end of row 4, we have 2 knit stitches, and so we are going to knit them. And just remember, when we are knitting, the yarn stands to the back of the work, and to do the I-cord for the last stitches, always bring yarn in the front and slip first stitch knitwise through the back loop and slip last stitch purlwise. So these 2 stitches are going to be shaping this beautiful I-cord. And now we're going to repeat what we did from row 1 to row 4. But don't think it as a 4 row and don't try to remember. Just watch your garment. Now we have 2 knit stitches in the row. It's easier for me to understand, to see the knit stitches than the purl stitches. So I know now that I have to do the reverse thing. And after working my I-cord, working 2 first stitches through the back loop, knitting them. Now let's watch again what we should do. We have 2 purl stitches. We are going to do the reverse thing. Knit 2, purl 2. This is what I have to understand that I should do in this row. Don't think about row 1 or row 2 or anything. Think about what should I do, knit 2, purl 2 or purl 2, knit 2. This is very easy to find out. So in any case you are going to know what you should do. This is how it looks after 5 rows, our scarf, and now I'm going to show you my finished scarf and how this I-cord looks like. It gives a very nice ending, and it's a very simple thing to do, and you can do it in every garment you are knitting. It can be an edging for any stitch pattern, and this creates a very fluffy and cozy scarf, which I believe you will love. You can see now how it looks like here, and you can make your scarf as long as you wish. I'm going to give you all measurements and the written pattern on my blog. Now if you finish and it's as long as you wish, it's time to cast off our stitches. So knit normally the 2 first stitches and slip the first stitch over the second one, and this way you have 1 stitch left to your right needle and you have casted on 1 stitch. When we have a knit stitch, we are going to be knitting, so knit next stitch and slip 1 stitch over the other to cast off a second stitch. Again knit next stitch since it's a knit stitch, and slip the first 3 stitch over the second one. So always keep 1 stitch to your right needle. Now we have 2 slip stitches in front of us, so bring the yarn to the front and purl next stitch. Again slip 1 stitch over the other and purl the next stitch. Again slip 1 over the other. Now we have 2 knit stitches. Bring the yarn to the back as you would normally do if you were to knit, and knit next stitch and cast off. You can do it by your fingers as well. Again knit next stitch, and this way you are going to be casting off, keeping the pattern and knitting the knit stitches and purling the purl stitches across the row to the last stitch. And your finishing row is going to be a very nice row. I believe you are going to find this scarf easy and simple to follow. I love these patterns because they are reversible, and I prefer my scarves to look the same in both sides. So I'm purling now and slip 1 stitch over the other, and I have in front of me 2 last stitches. I'm going to knit them and knit the last stitch. So one stitch is left on our needle. We're going to work this way. Cut the yarn, leaving a piece of tail. Pull away your needle and pass the working yarn through this last loop and pull so it's over, and later on you are going to hide this tail. This is the double moss stitch pattern. I call this Mary's hug scarf because it's really nice as it hugs you all over the neck. You can do a caul with this pattern as well, and look at this beautiful finishing. Thank you very much for keeping me company in this small knitting and crochet corner. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and as well visit my blog posts and see all my written patterns there, or buy them to support me through my Etsy shop. Bye!